At one point, the French force their way through the main gate, but it's shut behind them, and the intruders are all killed.
Oh, damn, that is vicious, man. I know this is bad. I heard some people told me this is bad, but I'm still gonna react to this, frankly speaking. The Battle of Waterloo.
April 1814. For 10 years, one man has dominated Europe. Napoleon Bonaparte, Emperor of the French. Under his military genius, France conquered an empire that spanned the continent. But finally, he has been defeated by a grand coalition of his enemies. Napoleon is forced to abdicate and exiled to the tiny island of Elba, while the Bourbon monarchy is restored to France.
You know, I heard that. I heard that when Napoleon was sent to Elba, that it was Tsar Alexander that wanted. Like, I heard that it was kind of like a joke. I don't know how true that is, but I also heard that Tsar Alexander kind of wanted to, like, you know, show a bit of mercy to him.
France, in the corpulent form of Louis XVIII. But rumors soon reached Napoleon that France would welcome his return. The French people have little love for the monarchy or its hangers-on, the very people whose excesses led to the French Revolution 25 years before.
Alright, let's talk about this, shall we? So, in my last video, right, I got a lot of backlash, which frankly speaking, I didn't really care. Because I heard a lot of people saying that, oh, the people had every right to be bitter towards Napoleon. And my rebuttal to that was, well, the people literally had a revolution and they wanted someone like Napoleon. Like, it doesn't matter if it was Napoleon. Like, if anything, the people should be happy that Napoleon was a genius and, frankly speaking, beat back 6 coalitions that saved the revolution, right? Napoleon literally gave the people what they wanted in the grand scheme of things. Emperor or not emperor, he still gave them what they wanted. And this is what I literally said, that, I mean, like, what do you expect? Like, seriously, like, in this time period, this is radical. This is completely radical. What they wanted was so radical at the time. I mean, what did they expect for Europe to just brush it off? Of course not, right? Like seriously, like, you can't have a France that is a republic without a war. That's just impossible. That is so unrealistic. So everyone was telling me that, oh, Napoleon caused so many people to die. That's not his fault. Napoleon, one person even just commented, actually. She just commented, Napoleon didn't even declare war on any country, frankly speaking, aside from Russia and Spain. Spain was, now I don't know what Napoleon's doing. The only thing that I would really and truly blame Napoleon for is Spain. He did not have to do what he did in Spain. But everything else, I don't really blame Napoleon for that. If it wasn't Napoleon, it was going to be somebody else. Right? Sure, there's going to be some people who, you know, are going to rebel. But before Napoleon came to power, there were people that were rebelling against the government that was in power at the time. So my point is, Napoleon just so happened to be the guy who just so happened to be a genius that dragged this on. Actually, there was actually peace for 9 months in Europe, but Britain kept literally provoking France during that 9 months period time. Granted, from the British perspective, it was always British policy to make sure that there's a balance of power in Europe, or France was obviously dominating Europe. But, you know, from the French perspective, well, they didn't do anything hostile, right? That was still Britain provoking them, right? So all this hate that Napoleon get because he killed so many people over the course of 20 years, by the way, if it was like, World War One levels of bad, like millions of people died in a couple of like less than 5 years, okay, yeah, that's bad, right? If it was like Soviet Union, go just throw yourself at the enemy, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. What I do agree with is the fact that Napoleon did waste troops in Spain. I agree with that. Everything else, Napoleon does not deserve the hate for that, frankly speaking. I don't care what anyone says, and I will still abide by my statement in my last video, that got me a backlash. Frankly speaking, the French had an economic blockade. Dude, France would have had an economic blockade even if Napoleon wasn't the one ruling France. As long as it was revolutionary France, France would have still had a blockade. I mean, like the people were the ones who killed the king. Chopped his head off. By one vote, granted, but they still killed him. People, I mean, there were a lot of rebellions, but the people wanted that. Like, at the end of the day, it's literally what the people wanted. And that route just simply led to war. It's like, dude, think about it like this, right? It's like saying Germany should have won World War II X, insert something that completely changes the dictator's personality. That's just unrealistic. You can't change what the people were feeling. Like, this is what they were feeling, and the only option that they literally had was war. Like, I unrealistically cannot see France being a revolutionary government, any type of revolutionary government in power that has peace. I just can't.
He also learns that at the Congress of Vienna, his enemies are locked in bitter dispute over the future of Europe. Napoleon decides to act. After just 10 months in exile, he returns to France, where the troops sent to arrest him rally to his cause instead. Most of France soon follows suit.
These were the same French people that were hailing Alexander. This proves my point. This literally proves my point. This is literally what I said in my previous video. Why didn't the French simply fought harder? Because you can't. You literally cannot be like, oh, I'm sick of war, and then when the Bourbons come back, the same people that you dislike, that you loathe, you want to complain about them? Hello? It was bound to happen. This is literally why I said in my previous reaction, they simply should have fought harder, because at the end of the day, and this is simply a lose-lose situation. Actually, no. The only way for them to win was through Napoleon. They literally had a lose-lose situation. Napoleon was the only thing that they had to win. This is why I said, if anything, they should have been grateful that someone like Napoleon was there. And this is why they should have fought harder. Okay, like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, this was the main argument that I heard people say, oh, he killed millions of people and an economic blockade. It was bound to happen, bro. Like, unless the French people suddenly decide, hey, let's go be monarchists again, there was going to be war. People are going to die. There was going to be economic blockade. In any war, there's always a blockade. So,
but in Vienna, the coalition immediately put their differences to one side. They declare Napoleon an outlaw and mobilize their forces for war. Napoleon knows he must act boldly before the coalition launches a coordinated invasion of France. He counts on winning a quick victory and then negotiating peace from a position of strength. He targets the coalition armies within easiest reach: Prince Blücher's Prussian army and the Duke of Wellington's Anglo-Allied army, both camped in Belgium. Napoleon's force is a match for either coalition army on its own, but he'll be heavily outnumbered if they're able to join forces, so he must keep them apart and defeat each in turn.
Your child needs
that transition was so hard. That was okay, that was actually a really good transition. Oh wow, yeah, that's actually really hard. Epic
Napoleon's
history.
army crosses the frontier near Charleroi, intending to drive a wedge between the two coalition armies. The next day, Napoleon sends his left wing under Marshal Ney to take the crossroads at Quatre Bras. There, Ney clashes with Wellington's army, still scrambling into position. The Allied troops fight off a series of French attacks and just manage to hold their ground. The same day, Napoleon attacks Blücher's Prussian army with his main force near the village of Ligny. The battle is a brutal slugging match, but the French emerge triumphant. The 72-year-old Blücher leads a cavalry charge in person and has his horse killed under him.
Right, Blücher
just escapes capture.
Oh, dude! Imagine that alternate. Oh, dude! Imagine that alternate timeline. Oh, if he had gotten captured. Oh my gosh.
The Prussian army retreats, but it is not broken. Napoleon sends his right wing under Marshal Grouchy to keep them on the run.
So I heard that was a horrible decision. I was watching a Napoleon edit of Waterloo and the other day actually, and I heard some people were discussing. I was reading some people discussing about it in the comments, and they were like, "Yeah, this is a horrible." Like what Napoleon did, like that was a horrible like decision. Like Marshal Grouchy should not have been. Apparently, Napoleon's best marshal, Davout, was in Paris. Like what? It really blows my mind how Napoleon just did not use his best marshal. Like even before he was exiled. Like he did not like. I don't know what Napoleon was thinking. I would love to know what Napoleon was thinking.
Turns his own attention to Wellington's army. The British general doesn't receive news of Blücher's defeat until the next morning, at which point he orders a retreat through heavy summer showers to a position 8 miles south of Brussels, near the village of Waterloo. There he receives a promise from Blücher that the Prussians will march to his aid the next morning. So Wellington decides to stand and fight. Wellington has chosen his battlefield with care. His troops are behind a gentle ridge which will give them some shelter from French cannon fire. His right flank is anchored on the farmhouse of Hougoumont, his centre on the farm of La Haye-Sainte, and his left on the farm of Papelotte.
Bro, let me tell you something, right? If there's something that I've learned about any of these reactions and these battles that I've watched is anyone who chooses their battlefield, they usually win. They usually. It's just something that I have noticed. Like anyone who chooses their battlefield, man, they always win, man. You like, oh my god, bruh. Like, oh my god. Although I heard that Wellington was he was this close to getting defeated, right?
All three are fortified and garrisoned with elite troops. Wellington's men need every advantage they can get. The opposing armies are roughly equal in size, but his is a ragtag mix of British, Dutch, and German troops, many of whom have never seen combat before. They will have to hold off Napoleon's army of veterans until Prussian reinforcements arrive, or the battle and probably the war will be lost.
Oh, this is how Sunday, 18th June, 1815.
Sunday dawns bright and fair. Napoleon has ordered Marshal Grouchy to pursue the Prussians and keep them busy, while he defeats Wellington's army at Waterloo and opens the road to Brussels. But it's Grouchy who gets pinned down, fighting the Prussian rearguard at Wavre. The Prussian force eludes him and is already marching to Wellington's aid.
Oh no.
At Waterloo, Napoleon delays his attack, waiting for the ground to dry, which will make movement easier for his troops. But the lost hours will later prove costly. The battle begins around 11 a.m., when Napoleon orders a feint against Wellington's right flank at Hougoumont. He hopes Wellington will commit his reserves here, drawing them away from the centre, where the main blow will fall. But Hougomont's British and German defenders cling on desperately throughout the day. At one point,
I cannot believe that this is the same. These are probably the same Germans who were literally like allies of Napoleon, like literally 2 years ago, bro.
The French force their way through the main gate, but it's shut behind them, and the intruders are all killed.
What?
Wellington later calls it,
Whoa, wait, let me replay that. Hold on a minute.
At one point, the French force their way through the main gate, but it's shut behind them, and the intruders are all killed.
Oh, damn, that is vicious, man. Oh my gosh, man.
Wellington later calls it the decisive moment of the battle. Around noon, 80 French cannon open fire against the main Allied line. Most of Wellington's men are out of sight on the reverse slope, but many cannonballs still find their mark, smashing bloody holes in the Allied ranks. At 1:30 p.m., Napoleon sends in his infantry. The French columns are met by disciplined musket fire, and then charged by British heavy cavalry. The French attack disintegrates as Napoleon's men try to save themselves from the crushing hooves and flashing sabers.
Oh, yeah, a slow Napoleon. I don't think that was a bright idea, Napoleon. I don't really think that was a bright idea. Oh, a slope. Yeah, you never want to charge up a slope, bro. Oh yeah, I don't. I'm trying to think of a way that he could pull off a win, but I don't know. I can't think of anything right now.
Scores of Frenchmen are ridden down, and 2 of their famous Eagle standards are captured. But the British cavalry, exhilarated by success, charge too far.
Now
They become scattered, their horses blown.
Where's Napoleon's cavalry at? Why no? Hold on. Napoleon's cavalry can't flank him, or no? I need to see a better detail of this map. I don't know what Napoleon could do in this situation, frankly.
At their most vulnerable, they're countercharged by French cavalry and suffer terrible losses. Among the dead, Major General Sir William Ponsonby, commander of the Union Brigade. Around 4 p.m., Marshal Ney thinks he sees the Allies begin to retreat and leave.
Okay. I heard that Marshal Ney was the one who caused Napoleon to lose the Battle of Waterloo. Yeah. I'm not sure what Ney saw, but as much as I love Marshal Ney, yeah, I think he did cost him the battle.
Leads a mass cavalry charge to drive home the advantage. But Ney is wrong. The Allied infantry are ready, formed in hollow squares with bayonets fixed. The French cavalry can't break into these impregnable formations. They can only circle impotently until they retreat or are shot from the saddle. Ney's failure to support this attack with either infantry or artillery is a serious blunder. Meanwhile, Blücher's Prussians have begun to arrive.
Yeah. You see, Ney really did cost him the battle. Oh man. Why didn't Napoleon allow Ney to do that? I thought Napoleon was the one giving the orders. Oh man. Because if I was Napoleon, I wouldn't order Ney to do. I don't know what it was like, but I don't know. My best bet is, like, me personally, I would always keep my cavalry in reserve. To, you know, to as like the finishing blow, like, or if need be, use them to save my skin if things go wrong. Like what happened at Eylau. Eylau is actually a perfect example of that. Actually, things could have gone wrong, but Napoleon's cavalry saved him. Because now you have the Prussians there that could have been charged. Because the British are, you know, they kind of like up there. And, you know, classic Napoleon, like, for example, in his Battle of Rivoli, he was in a situation like this where he simply, but the British cavalry is still there too. But I mean, his troops could go into squares, so that's not really a problem actually. What Napoleon could have done, even if he didn't know the Prussians were coming, and if I was Napoleon, and I wouldn't have ordered Ney to do something like that unless, like, 100%, you know, the British are running, frankly. Because he could have taken these reserves and the cavalry and smashed everything at the Prussians before they organize and they set themselves up to cause a rout and then focus on the British. Because the British were still in defensive positions and they would need. I think that's the best bet that I see here. I don't know. That's the best bet that I see. I don't know.
They capture the village of Plancenoit, threatening Napoleon's flank and forcing him to send reserves to recapture it. Around 6 p.m., French infantry finally capture the farmhouse of La Haye-Sainte in the center of the battlefield. It allows the French to bring forward artillery and blast the Allied squares from close range. They can't miss the closely packed formations, and casualties quickly mount. It begins to seem that if Wellington's army doesn't retreat, it will be killed where it stands.
This is why I said that, like, I really... Oh, if Ney... Oh, dude, those reserve cavalry. Oh, this is where you use the cavalry. You know, like, hold off the Prussians. The British, they're not really gonna, you know, they're not really gonna move anywhere. They seem to be in a very static position. And not only that, but they're on a slope, right? So that's very hard to, like, shift, right? Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, Ney. Ah.
But the situation for Napoleon is also desperate. The Prussians are arriving in force, and he's running out of men to throw against Wellington's army.
No, I'm not even gonna repeat myself.
So he turns to his ultimate reserve, the elite Imperial Guard, the most feared troops in Europe.
My dad was captain.
At 7:30 p.m., 3,000 of these battle-hardened veterans march past their emperor and across the corpse-strewn battlefield.
Why would Napoleon use them against the British? Because the British seems exhausted, yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I would not do it. The British are still in good defensive position. I would target the Prussians. I would target the Prussians with the Imperial Guard because oh no. The Prussians are the bigger threat, not the British. The Prussians are the bigger threat. Oh, I feel like younger Napoleon would be able to grasp that because, Napoleon's older. But the Prussians are the bigger threat, not the British, because the British are, they're just over the... Oh, no. They're going to get slaughtered. They're going to get slaughtered.
Towards the Allied centre.
They're going to get slaughtered.
Wellington's redcoats rise to meet them and pour devastating volleys of musket.
It's up a slope. It's up a slope. Common sense should tell you don't. Oh, this hurts. This hurts because I know what's about to happen. I know what's about to happen, and I just, oh my gosh, dude. Oh, sorry. I feel the pain. I feel the pain in my chest.
Fire into their ranks. When the Allies fix bayonets and prepare to charge, the Imperial Guard wavers and then retreats. Wellington, sensing victory, orders a general advance.
Oh my gosh! No, Wellington. Ooh. They messed everything up, and then Napoleon just made everything. He just put the nail in the coffin. Wow. Ooh. Oh my gosh, man. This has me riled up. I'm not gonna lie to you. This has me riled up.
About the same time, the Prussians recapture Plancenoit. News of the Imperial Guard's defeat and rumors of encirclement by the Prussians sweep through the French ranks. Panic breaks out, and the French army flees the battlefield. Only Napoleon's old guard maintain their discipline, mounting a heroic but doomed rearguard action.
Why didn't Napoleon retreat?
Napoleon himself is forced to abandon his carriage and barely escapes the pursuing Prussian cavalry.
Oh, he did. Okay.
The battle is won. The Duke of Wellington and Prince Blücher meet and congratulate each other outside Napoleon's former headquarters, an inn called La Belle Alliance. Blücher thinks it's the perfect name for their shared victory, but Wellington prefers the more English-sounding Waterloo, where he has his own headquarters. The Battle of Waterloo was, in the words of the Duke of Wellington, a damned near-run thing. It was also one of the bloodiest battles of the age. Around 50,000 men were killed or wounded, 23,000 coalition casualties, 27,000 French.
Yeah, Napoleon lost. Napoleon... another case of Napoleon losing. The Allies... I mean, honestly, the Duke of Wellington... I would say he won-ish, but Napoleon lost himself that battle too, so...
Due to an appalling shortage of medical care, many of the wounded were left lying on the battlefield, for several days. Napoleon was utterly defeated. Unable to raise another army, he surrendered to the British. They transported him to a second exile on the tiny, remote Atlantic island of St. Helena. This time there was no escape.
Why couldn't Napoleon raise another army? Nah, bro. Dude, bro. Oh, dude. Imagine if you were Napoleon. Where would you surrender to the British? Ooh. I don't know why. Yeah, all of Europe hates you. Yeah, all of Europe hates you. Ooh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What I want to see is Murat being defeated. Because in my Napoleonic Wars last reaction, Murat switched sides and joined Napoleon. But Murat was too far.
He died there 6 years later.
Yeah, he was most likely poisoned by the British. Or he most likely had the pain most likely gave him stomach cancer.
Waterloo marked the beginning of a period of relative peace in Europe. There were no wars between the great powers for 40 years, and the British would not fight on the continent for another 100 years, until the summer of 1914.
Wait, but Crimea, the British were on Crimea. That's a part of the European. Wait, Crimea is barely connected to Europe, though.
40 years after the battle, a pioneer in the new art of photography captured these remarkable images. They're veterans of Napoleon's armies, by then all old men in their 70s and 80s. Among them, Sergeant Tania of the Imperial Guard, Moray of the 2nd Regiment of Hussars, and Verline of the 2nd Guard Lancers. These faces are a tantalizing link to the dramatic events that shaped the course of history 2 centuries ago.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so glad those pictures are still there. That is actually awesome, man. Yo, look, you made it all the way to the end of this video, man. Make sure you like it. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. If you like my reactions, you probably like my reaction. That's why you made it to the end, man. So, go check out my other reactions and subscribe while you're at it, man. I have an announcement video coming up because I have things that are going on in my life. So I gotta make an announcement for that. Anyways, thank you for watching and goodbye.